Question 3, we're rationalising the denominator of some surds. So for one like a, when it's just a single term in the denominator, all you need to do there is multiply through by root 3 over root 3. So 1 multiplied by root 3 will give you root 3 in the numerator, and root 3 multiplied by root 3 will leave you with 3 in the denominator. So for ones like question B, when there's two terms, we need to multiply through by the same expression that you have in the denominator, but with the sign changed. And of course, we're not trying to change the value of the fraction, we're just finding an equivalent fraction. So you must multiply numerator and denominator by the same thing, and you must write that that's what you're doing. Okay, don't just write that you're multiplying by 1 minus root 2, because that's not correct. So numerator for this one is just going to be 1 multiplied by 1 minus root 2. And then in the denominator, I've got 1 multiplied by 1. I've got 1 multiplied by minus root 2. I've got root 2 multiplied by 1. And I've got root 2 multiplied by minus root 2. And what's happened here, those two middle terms are going to cancel. That's always going to happen. That's why we choose to multiply through this in the first place. So I actually didn't really need to bother writing those. So my numerator is 1 minus root 2. My denominator is 1 minus 2. And if I'm dividing everything through by minus 1, that's just going to change the sign of everything. Okay, so C is a similar question. So I'm going to multiply through by root 3 plus 1 over root 3 plus 1. So for the numerator, I'm actually not even going to bother multiplying that out. I'm just going to leave that factorized. And for the denominator, the same thing is going to happen as happened in part B. So I've got root 3 times root 3. Then if I choose to write the whole thing out, I'm going to have root 3 times 1. But then I'm going to have root 3 times minus 1, and then minus 1 times 1. So again, those middle two terms are going to cancel. So I've got 4 root 3 plus 1, and then on the denominator, 3 minus 1, and the 4 over 2 can cancel to give me 2 brackets root 3 plus 1. Just about fit that in. Okay, so then on to part D. So again, it doesn't matter that there's a surd in the numerator, it's the denominator that tells me what I have to multiply by. So I'm going to have to multiply by 2 minus root 2 over 2 minus root 2. So that's nothing to do with what's in the numerator, it's the denominator with the sign changed. Okay, so you may want to just do some separate working and use the grid method to multiply out these brackets, just to use your preferred method. So my numerator is going to be 2 multiplied by 2, 2 multiplied by minus root 2, minus root 2 multiplied by 2, and minus root 2 multiplied by minus root 2. So I'll tidy that up for my next stage. And then for the denominator, the same thing is going to happen as happened in the last two parts of the question. The middle two terms are going to cancel. So again, I'll write the whole thing out. So I'm going to have 2 times 2. I'm going to have 2 times minus root 2, root 2 times 2, and root 2 times minus root 2. But again, those middle two terms are going to cancel. So if I tidy up my numerator, I've got 4 plus 2. So I've got 6, I've got minus 2 root 2 minus another 2 root 2, and in the denominator, I've got the middle two terms cancelling, so 4 take away 2 is 2, and then I do need to just double check, and everything cancels by 2, so that can be simplified to 3 minus 2 root 2. Okay, and then last question, so similar question. Again, it doesn't matter what's in the numerator, it's the denominator that I look at, and I'm going to multiply by the same expression, but I'm going to switch that minus to a plus. Okay, and then basically 2 pairs of double brackets to multiply out. So in the numerator, I've got 2 times 3, I've got 3 times root 3, I've got root 2 times 2, and I've got root 2 times root 3. In the denominator, I've got 2 times 2, I've got 2 times root 3, I've got minus root 3 times 2, and minus root 3 times root 3. Again, middle two terms are going to cancel, so if you didn't write those, that's absolutely fine. And actually, that numerator doesn't simplify. It looks like it should, but none of those are like terms. The root 3, the root 2, the root 6, and the integer are all completely separate. I can't simplify the root 6, so it looks like there should be something I can do there, but that is fully simplified. Denominator is just going to simplify to 4, take away 3, so 1. So let's write the whole thing out one more time. If something is over 1, then that's not going to change it at all. So that would be my final answer.